Hi, welcome to Mama Mandala, where magic is somatic. You are magical, baby. You are a magic wand. Your body, your physicality is where magic happens. It happens in our breath. It happens as we move ourselves. So here we are. It's eclipse season officially. It was for me, I'm in LA, so California. So yesterday was the date of the new moon and the solar eclipse, and for majority of the world it's today. So wherever you are, if you're watching this days or months later, I think it still has value in it, because here's the thing. Personally, I don't have a faith-based relationship with astrology. I love it, but I come into it from the storytelling, from the archetypal invitation, from the realm of imagination that then invites us and allows us to work on ourselves, and through us to also participate in society and in the environment in a conscious way, in the way that we choose. So it's working with the energies that astrologers say are going on and inviting ourselves to work with them, even if we don't necessarily feel it or even if we don't necessarily believe in it. Now, here's the thing, it's really interesting. I'm saying this and then I have to laugh at myself, because I was recording a video for the new moon and the eclipse yesterday, and I was talking about how I don't believe in it, but man, oh man, was I feeling eclipsed. Man, oh man, have I been feeling eclipsed today. There's this heavy shadow, dark and gloomy, a little bit I'm a Gen X, so a little bit of the gothic dark mood has landed upon me. But here's the thing, that mood lands upon me, I'm not going to say often, but not often. I experience sometimes depression and sadness and gloominess and a feeling of purposelessness, like many of us. So is it the eclipse, or is it just me? Is it the chaotic and volatile energy that astrologers say is associated with eclipse, or is it just random and just a coincidence that I experienced this? I will never know. We will never know, and that's the beauty. And in a way, I look at eclipse and at that shadow that goes across the body of light in the sky and invites us inwardly into a contemplative space. I look at that hiding of light moment as an opportunity, as an invitation to question myself, to question my beliefs. And in a way, this is what I'm really feeling at the moment with this eclipse, questioning my beliefs and even questioning, therefore, my non-beliefs, questioning and allowing doubt to permeate the space that I'm breathing in, not so that I won't be able to make moves and go forward in my life, but so that I can be actually, in a way, because in a way, when we doubt, we become more informed, because we open ourselves up to more knowledge rather than our belief, right? Belief leads to dogma. And when we are so convinced of something and we're so sure of it and we're certain, that can be really create a stuckness, right? It can create an energy, an experience of not opening ourselves up to what more is possible. When we're really sure of something, 128%, we are not going to have room for growth, right? So certainty, in a way, leads to tyranny. And it's really interesting, because I've been thinking a lot about Aries, because the new moon was in Aries. However, now we're already in Taurus season, and Aries is an initiator and an activator. It's ruled by Mars, which is the planet that's associated with the god of war from the Roman and Greek traditions. And so it's very much of a warrior and a protector energy, if we want to take it in that direction. And where I like to take it when I work with Aries energy is into the contemplation and then the actions of of activism, right? That where do I want to put my energy in terms of what the the progress that I want to see in society, right? And so it's fighting for the rights of marginalized people. It's doing anti-racist work. It's showing up and doing the work to support trans rights right now. This is so important, right? So there's a lot here in the energy of Aries that we can explore and dive into in the areas of our lives where we want to show up for a cause that's greater than ourselves, for something that for justice, for social justice, for and even for the environment, right? Fighting for the trees, fighting for the ones that have no voice, that we can show up and speak for and do some work on in behalf of. And then when I think of it, and then an eclipse shows up, I think, wow, all right. So an eclipse obscures the light. So it invites doubt, right? It invites uncertainty. And it doesn't invite it, but it just kind of happens. And of course, eclipses used to be so scary for people because they had no idea what was going on. They didn't know what we know today, that when there's a solar eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth, right? That the unconscious, the phasing, changing qualities of the moon creates shadow between us on the earth and the sun, our source of light, which is the source of our growth and our warmth and, in a way, our safety. And just to give it its own shadow, of course, the sun is also dangerous. It can burn us off really easily if the balance tipped off a little bit. So it's just always interesting to think of anything that has a light has a shadow, and everything that has a shadow has a light. So I think of the light of eclipse. When the shadow of eclipse showing up, the light of it is the invitation to question. So if we're questioning in the area of activism and a progressive agenda, we can come into it questioning ourselves a little bit, showing up to our activism with a bit of a softness. So we need the warrior energy, but we want to, and I say we, it's me, but maybe you're with me on this, but we want to think about how when we're so sure of ourselves, we close ourselves off to other voices, and then close ourselves off to the possibilities and the opportunities. And in a way, eclipse is considered in a more modern and embracing the shadow kind of an approach, it's considered a portal. And so if we walk through a portal and we show up on the other side in exactly the same place with exactly the same opinion and exactly the same way, not having been shaken a little bit, not having been triggered a little bit, right? Like the trigger warning, like we want to, I think I do, and maybe you too, want to come to a place where we can allow ourselves to be challenged a little bit, triggered a little bit. We want to be able to poke the areas where we feel really sure of things, not to bring uncertainty and completely destroy everything we work on, but to bring enough uncertainty so that there's room for change and for growth, so that there's room for more than our own voice, so that we come out of echo chambers, right? Our society is kind of, different societies live in their own echo chambers and we don't hear each other. So this eclipse made me think of the way that I can not stop thinking the way that I think, but allow a broader perspective to inform what I believe in and what I believe to be just and true and right? Like to soften my righteousness so that I can be wiser, right? I always feel, and maybe you have that awareness with you too, that when I get into a righteous place, I am not in my wisest place, right? And sometimes we need our righteousness, and And sometimes, a little bit of a voice of wisdom can be helpful because, again, then we can grow, then we can expand, then we can evolve the conversation and actually bring more progress. Because when something is so certain and so sure of itself and has no room for growth, it actually starts to get stuck and stagnant, and then it can break more easily. It becomes more fragile. We want to have flex. We want to be able to move side to side and see more than just what we see from the one lane that we want to walk on and walk with. And the other aspect of this new moon and eclipse is that the new moon was the second new moon in Aries, so it's the second in a row. Usually we have one new moon of a sign in the year, and this is the second in a row. And the rest of the lunar cycle is actually going to be in Taurus. So we started this, and we're in Taurus already, according to astrology. So we started with Aries, we started with the initiator, but we did it for the second time. So if we start again, Aries is the first sign on the zodiac wheel. So right around spring equinox, like a day after, we had the first new moon in Aries, and then we entered the season of spring, and we entered the season of Aries, and we entered this new beginning. And then we had an opportunity now with this second new moon, and we're still in the light and the shadow of this new moon, where we're having an opportunity and an invitation to perhaps restart, to look at what we've initiated in the previous beginning of a lunar cycle, and think, oh, okay, I've initiated this. Where am I with it right now? What is my relationship to it and to the rest of the world and to the environment and to the plants around me and to other people and to these intentions that I had? And what do I need to readjust? What would I want to redirect from the energies that was set forth by the previous new moon in Aries, right? And now we're entering Taurus season, so we're initiating again. We're coming into this lunar cycle with, okay, I'm gonna restart. I've checked myself and I've wrecked myself, so now I'm gonna pick myself up and re-enter and restart and begin again. And then drop into the beauty and power of Taurus, which actually invites us into more of a stability space, right? It's an earth sign. Aries is a fire sign. We're sparking something, and what we're sparking in this new moon solar eclipse transition can be a spark that allows us to come into our body. Taurus is very much of a physical archetype. It invites us into the pleasures of the body, the senses, the sensual experience of being an embodied entity, of being with our breath, of feeling our own skin, and being in this system that experiences life through our body. I even think, and this is another kind of like eclipse, open your mind, kind of an invitation. Sometimes people think of, oh, like I'm so not in my body, I'm disconnected from my body. And yes, we have experiences like that. But in a way, just to kind of reframe it, even if you're feeling not connected to your body, that feeling of not being connected to your body is still happening in a body. When people say, oh, there's so much in their head, the head is a part of the body. I haven't seen a head walking around without a body, right? Like a head is a part of the body. The brain is in charge of the body along with the heart, right? So we're a whole system. And what I want to do, and maybe you too, is to integrate our system, right? And so we spark a cycle, a journey into integrating our bodies. And this is the time of the blossoming of many flowers. So we can go into the fields, or walk in the neighborhood, or go to the botanical garden somewhere in your city, and find the roses, find the flowers that you can smell, find the way that ways for all the senses to awaken. Feel the sunlight on your skin. Touch yourself, baby, a little bit, right? Feel the skin and the pleasure of being in a body. And we have to do that in ways that feel safe, of course. Look at things that make that evoke beauty for you. Look at art that feels beautiful. Look at nature that you see and fills you up with so much delight and joy. Find the things through this lunar cycle that bring you pleasure, right? Eat yummy, delicious food, things that are in the season. Things that are in the season right now in places that are not still covered in ice is peas, fresh peas. Like the delightful experience of eating quickly, quickly blanched bunch of peas, and just tasting the season through them. So all the beautiful possibilities that live in working with our senses, smelling the flowers, tasting the peas, feeling our skin, seeing the beauty, and hearing, listening to things that make us feel and experience pleasure, right? It can be a book on audio. I'm a huge fan of listening to books on audio, because then I can take them on a walk and look at the flowers at the same time, or listening to it while I'm cooking, right? While if my kids are not around me, because if they're around, I'd rather have a conversation with them and have a moment with them. But if you're on your own, it can be a beautiful piece of music. Anything that gives you, and it doesn't have to be beautiful as just like an obvious something that is perceived as beauty in the overculture, right? I'm thinking particularly music by Bjork. It's not always necessarily beautiful. It's not easy listening. It's challenging you. It gives me pleasure in the challenging qualities of it, in the way that it isn't necessarily a simple, just kind of background situation. My daughter, who's 10 and a half, she loves Bjork. She says, she asked me to put Bjork the other day in the car, and we're turning it on, and then her brother in the back seat, who just turned 6 a few days ago, he asked me a question, so I turned the music down and I answered, and then I kept the music down because we were talking, and then we fell a little silent, and then my daughter goes, "Mama, can you turn it up? Bjork is not background music." Don't you love that? She recognized it. She sees it. She wanted to fully listen and be present with the music of Bjork. So whatever brings you pleasure, whatever brings pleasure to your senses, to your body, whatever makes you feel beautiful, not in the obvious ways, right? Like, again, this season is an eclipse season. So we want to awaken to the not obvious, to the not certain, to the unconscious. Think of how the moon created a shadow, right, and obscured the sun. So the moon is associated with the unconscious, and the sun is associated with the conscious, right? It's like the light of day. So letting the unconscious cover us a little bit so that we can experience things on a deeper level, in a different way, and open up our minds and our hearts, and in the way of Taurus, our bodies too, to new possibilities that emerge through this portal of questioning and doubting and experiencing ourselves in as many ways as we can. Okay, I think this is good for this moment of eclipse. I'm going to turn back into a puddle right once I turn this off, because that's where I am today. So wherever you are, however you are, whenever you are watching this, I'm sending you so much love and gratitude that you spend this moment with me. And if you're really feeling this kind of challenging and gloomy space, I'm with you, baby. And that can be a really beautiful experience too. Listen to some sad music and let yourself weep. That can be a gorgeous experience of allowing whatever is really moving through us, move through us with respect, right? And then it washes through, and then we wake up to something else, to something new. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you like this talk, if this is interesting for you, if complexity and paradox and a little bit of a doubt and questioning space of ambiguity is turning you on. I'm here for you. I'm here for it. I'm excited to get to know you. And go ahead and also subscribe to my email list. I'm going to put a link in the description of the video so that you can click on it and sign up for the email list for inspiration and complexity and more paradoxical and other ways of seeing things in your mailbox. And I will catch you soon. Thank you so much for being here. Mwah! Take care.